Hello guys, once again I welcome you to today's discussion. My name is Semanda Mohammed and I welcome you to this platform, Passion for Biology. We also have a YouTube channel, A-Level Biology UACE. Today we are going to share about a topic known as cellular respiration. Living organisms require energy, and the energy they require is got from food. It's got actually from the respiration of food. Living organisms need usable energy. In other words, all living organisms need energy for so many uses: to grow, to produce, to repair damaged structures, and this energy is obtained from two processes: aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Now, when we look at respiration, this is the process by which organic substances such as glucose, amino acids, or lipids are broken down to release energy in living cells. This energy is made available to living cells in form of what? Of ATP. And what we have to know that the site for the process of respiration is mitochondria, and cytoplasm. We shall see that some stages of respiration occurs in the mitochondria, while others occurs in the cytoplasm. Now, what are the sum of uses of energy? Living organisms require energy. For the reactions of metabolism. Metabolism is a series of reactions. These reactions can be anabolic, and anabolic reactions, these are build up processes. For example, protein synthesis, where small monomers, for example, in protein synthesis, the monomers are amino acids. They combine to form a long polymer known as polypeptide. That's an example of anabolic process. Polysaccharide synthesis from monosaccharides. Monosaccharides are the monomers, then polysaccharide is a polymer. And also DNA replication. All those are metabolic process that require energy altogether. Also, another process in our body that require energy is known as active transport. This one here. Now, active transport, it is the movement of materials against a concentration gradient. One of the example of the active transport in our body is known as the sodium potassium pump. Active transport. One of the example is the sodium potassium pump. Normally, if materials are moving by passive transport, an example is diffusion, they do not require energy. But the moment materials are moving against a concentration gradient, they require energy. One of the examples is active transport, where materials are moving against a or concentration gradient. Also, another process in our body that requires energy is the movement. Movement, for example, the contraction of muscles and the ciliary action, the beating of the cilia, and the spindle action, the action of the spindle fibers in cell division. All those and all those are examples of movement in living organism. The contraction of muscles requires what? Energy. Another process in our body that requires energy is the formation and secretion of substances from the cells, including digestive enzymes and hormones. Secretion of useful what? Substances like enzymes and hormones. This requires what? Energy. Also, there is cell division. Cell division and formation of all organelles of the cytoplasm. So division and formation of all the organelles in the cytoplasm. This also requires what? Energy. Active transport of chemicals or activation of chemicals. It makes chemicals more reactive. In other words, energy makes some chemicals more reactive, enabling them to react easily. For example, during glycolysis, there's what we call phosphorylation of glucose to make the glucose more reactive. Now, in this topic we shall look at the following things. We shall look at the structure of mitochondria, then since respiration occurs in the mitochondria, we shall look at the structure of the mitochondria. Also, we shall look at glycolysis. The first stage of respiration, glycolysis. We shall look at the Krebs cycle, the second stage of respiration. Then we shall look at oxidative phosphorylation, or what we call the electron transport and chemiosmosis. And we shall also look at fermentation in plants, then anaerobic respiration. Let's begin with the structure of the mitochondria. Now, this image contains the structure of the mitochondria. You can see it has an outer membrane. This one, it has an outer membrane. It also have another membrane that is folded. Hope you can see it is folded. I'm trying to do the outline. It is folded. Also, there's some material inside. You can see that there's the outer membrane, the inner membrane that is folded, and you can see that the inner membrane is folded to form structures known as what? Known as cristae. Let me first delete these ones. You can see the circular red stuff, and this is the circular DNA. Remember that mitochondria is a semi-autonomous organelle, and therefore it has its own DNA. This ribosome, you can see ribosomes, the black spots, and the fluid inside, the semi-rigid material, it is the matrix. Yeah. Now moving to the next slide, mitochondria is a spherical. For something to be spherical, it attains a shape of this kind and highly elongated organelle. The outer membrane of the mitochondria control the entry and the exit of materials, and the inner membrane is folded inward to form extension called cristae, and these cristae they contain stocked particles. Let me move back to this slide so that you can see the stocked particles. Maybe this image is not clear. The stocked particles, and these are used, actually these stocked particles, they contain ATPase enzyme used to form what? Energy. The mitochondria, it also have a semi-rigid matrix containing proteins, lipids, and some DNA, as well as what? Ribosomes. Always remember that the stocked particles that are contained on the inner membrane of the mitochondria, the inner membrane of the mitochondria, they contain ATPase enzyme used to form what? ATP. And the semi-rigid material inside the mitochondria, it is its matrix altogether. Now the mitochondria is a site for some stages of respiration, and normally the number of mitochondria in a cell varies with the metabolic activities. In other words, cells that are more metabolically active, they have a large number of what? Of mitochondria. And the number of cristae increases in metabolically active cells to increase the surface area for electron transport. However, in highly mature cells, such as red blood cells, mitochondria is absent. Why mitochondria is absent in some cells like the red blood cells? Remember, red blood cells, they carry oxygen. Now, to prevent them from utilizing the oxygen that they carry, they lack what? They lack the mitochondria. Moving to the next slide, the structure of the ATP. What you have to know that ATP contains a pentose sugar, and this is called ribose, a pentose sugar, 5-sided sugar. It also contains a nitrogenous base, adenine, and 3 phosphate groups. And also ATP, when the bond between the phosphate groups are broken, energy is released around 7.3 kilocalories per mole of what? Of ATP when ATP is hydrolyzed. You can see that the hydrolysis of ATP, it requires what? ATP, when actually that is it. There's some information here. ATP is a chemical molecule which directly fuels the majority of biological reactions. And moving to the next slide. How ATP is formed. ATP is formed by a process called phosphorylation. ATP is formed by addition of an inorganic phosphate to ADP, a process known as phosphorylation. When a phosphate group is added to ADP, or it can also be added to AMP, adenosine monophosphate, ADP, adenosine diphosphate, ATP is formed, and this process is known as what? Phosphorylation. Now let's consider this diagram here. Here there is ADP plus a phosphate group to form ADP, and you can see here that you can see this side that the synthesis of ATP from ADP, the synthesis of ATP from ADP and a phosphate group requires what? Energy. This requires what? Energy. But the breakdown of ATP to ADP, which is the hydrolysis of ATP to ADP, releases what? Energy. You have so many types of phosphorylation. We have said that phosphorylation is when a phosphate group is added to what? To ADP to form ATP. One of which is the photophosphorylation. Photophosphorylation is the formation of ATP using sunlight energy, and this occurs in green plants and some photosynthetic algae, and this normally occurs in the grana of the chloroplast. Grana where the light dependent reactions take place. Remember, in the light dependent stage, ATP is formed as well as what? Reduced NADP. These are taken into the light independent stage and they are utilized to form organic materials such as glucose. Now another type of phosphorylation is substrate level phosphorylation. Substrate level phosphorylation, we shall see in some stages of respiration. In some steps of respiration, a phosphate group is sometimes obtained from a molecule other than ATP or ADP, and it is added to ADP to form what? To form ATP. We shall see that a phosphate group can be obtained from a substrate and added to ADP to form ATP, and that process is called substrate level what? Phosphorylation. Now the last type of phosphorylation is called oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation, the energy for the addition of a phosphate group to ADP is from the oxidation of what? Substances. Oxidation of what? Of substances. And it is a type of phosphorylation that we are going to load to basically concentrate on this topic, and this is known as electron transport. Oxidative phosphorylation occurs in the inner membrane of the what? Of mitochondria in plant and animal cells, whereas in the bacterial cells it occurs in the surface of what? It occurs on the surface membrane of the bacterial cells. Now, the the important feature of the important features of ATP. ATP is universal to all living organism. All living organism contain ATP as their storage form of what? Energy, and it can move easily between the cytosol to organelles by diffusion for utilization. And ATP takes part in very many reactions of metabolism. In other words, it can be used in so many reactions of the organism, and it is a source of energy for most metabolic what? Processes. In our next discussion, we shall begin with glycolysis. We shall look at glycolysis, Krebs cycle, oxidative phosphorylation, the stages of respiration. Thanks for listening. My name is Semanda Mohammed. We have a YouTube platform, A-Level Biology-UACE. Please subscribe and like our video. We also have a YouTube platform, a WhatsApp platform known as Passion for Biology. You can simply drop your number in the comment section so that I can add you. Thanks. In the next slide, we shall look at glycolysis, Krebs cycle, oxidative phosphorylation.